Hello and welcome to the Knit Girls. This is episode 581. I'm Laura, also known as Lala.
I am Leslie, also known as You Don't Call Me Les. Today is the 15th of July.
Oh my goodness.
2022.
Oh my goodness.
Laura and I both use she, her pronouns. And, so we're back in the same room.
We are, because after 12 days, I'm finally testing negative. Yay!
So, this episode will probably be a little like...
light on content?
Well, and a little manic feeling.
Because I'm on lots of medication.
Well, that plus we're both in like SSK prep mode.
Oh, that's true.
And SSK is a blast, but there's a lot of little tiny pieces that have to fit together in the right way.
So why don't you explain what SSK is?
So SSK is our summer knitting retreat that we do in Nashville, Tennessee.
Retreat.
Yeah, crafting retreat.
Because
crochet classes.
We have a crochet class this year. We always have spinning, and we have some yarn composition classes this year.
Yeah. So it's next week.
Next Wednesday.
Ideally, we wouldn't do it in the summer in the South because it's very hot. But Laura's a teacher, so it's sort of the only time we can get enough time off to make it work.
We did spring break, I guess.
And we did that in Portland.
Yeah, and it was a lot.
It was a lot. Because it's organizing something so far away from home takes away a lot of your options because we just drive to Nashville.
Yeah.
So we take a ton of stuff with us. But anyhow, it requires a lot of just like making sure everybody's classes are marked on their badges and making sure everybody's got their pronouns and making sure that, there's enough food and water for everybody at the breaks and then at the lunches and then it's just a lot of little things, right? And we like
making sure that the materials feed that the teachers want is collected correctly because I thought 25 plus 25 plus 30 was 75, I think. And I messed up math somewhere.
Math is not ideal for either of us.
Math is never ideal, and especially when I'm like battling sickness.
Yeah.
It was definitely, I made more mistakes I think with classes this year than I've ever done before, but that's okay because Leslie's sweet and kind and took care of it.
I mean, I don't know about sweet and kind.
She brought me popsicles, y'all.
I did do that.
She was my popsicle fairy. She dumped them outside my door. And Pearl was like, why is my auntie not coming inside?
I can smell her. Why is she not here? But yeah, so there hasn't been a ton of knitting in the house for me, but I've got some other stuff to talk about. But I'll talk quickly about the knitting that I'm working on, this is what I plan to take to SSK with me just because it is mindless and I don't have to think about it at all. This is the sock head hat. Everything that we talk about is linked in our show notes, and our show notes are on our website, which is TheKnitGirlls with 3Ls.com. So this is the sock head hat in Sea Glass Souvenirs by Un Besito Fiber.
It's a lot more yellow than I thought it would be.
Yeah, and it's got a lot of like peach and yellow in it.
Yeah.
So it's a nice soft colored hat, but I really dig it for some reason.
I like the speckles.
It's much peacher than I typically go for, but I like it. Yeah, I like that the speckles and the different colors are in there. It's a well done colorway.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Dana Ubasito is lovely as well. I think I got this from her. I can't remember if it was after the Kate retreat, the Leading Men's retreat, or at that retreat. I don't remember, but yeah, so I'm just knitting that, and I did 4 inches of 2x2 rib. Historically, I've done 1x1 rib. I didn't feel like dealing with that, so I did 2x2 rib. This is where I was last week. This is my little progress marker, and gotten like 6 inches of work done on it. Kobe and I have, well, let's say Kobe and I, there's a new game that came out on the Switch, Nintendo Switch, which is Mario plus like rabbids.
Yes, those rabbids are.
Yeah, they're mischievous.
Intense. Yes.
And I read it as it was a co-op game. Kobe and I like playing like low violence, very.
I feel like this is a versus game.
It is a turn by turn. Like for the most part, there is some exploration, but it's mostly a turn by turn. I'm going to go here, I'm going to do damage with this thing, like a Final Fantasy-esque.
What do they call those, RPGs?
No, that's
Something like
role-playing
that.
games. I don't remember what they're called, but
Mm.
and there's only a couple places where two people can play against each other. It's
Gotcha.
primarily one person. So now it's mostly Kobe playing while I watch and make commentary, which is fine because
Nice.
I got SSK stuff I can do while
Yeah.
just doing
Make
that.
some buttons.
Yeah.
Punch out some tickets.
But yeah, so that's mostly what this is, plus some spinning for
I've
later.
also been playing a new Nintendo game.
Really? What
It's
have you
not
played?
new. I've been playing Stardew Valley, which have you not heard of it?
I've seen the image for it, I think.
Okay. So it's kind of like Animal Crossing meets old school Zelda.
Okay.
So you farm and you fish which the fishing is really hard for me to do on it. I had to get the beginner pole. But then you go explore mines and have to defeat monsters. And it's pretty intense. Like, it's more intense in the level of intensity. Animal Crossing's like here, right? And it's like one step up for Animal Crossing. So for me, it's intense.
So when you beat the enemy, does it just have like the little birds going above his head? And it just
No,
falls down?
it disappears and like slime appears or like you get a thing that you then use on a
But
there's
it's
like
not
quests.
like blood or
No, it's like slime or bat wings or
okay.
whatever. And then you have like a health thing though, and you also have like an energy thing, which I didn't know existed like the first 4 days that I played it. It's like you're exhausted. I'm like, okay, what is happening?
Like, can you see me? So is that what's like when you've had brain power? That's what you've dedicated.
Oh,
it
that's
towards?
like my zero brain power.
Okay.
Like, I haven't been sleeping well because I've been coughing a lot, and so instead of knitting or doing something productive, I've been laying in bed with my Switch playing Stardew Valley.
I mean, you've got to recover somehow. So.
Yeah, but it also tracks how long you've been on it. So like I logged in today and I started playing like 4 days ago, and I've already logged like 10 hours in it, and I'm like, oh, now I know why I'm not getting anything done.
That's allowed.
But it happens sometimes.
So what are you working on?
I am working on a test knit for Tiff Kneeling called a Scrappy Stash Buster Shawl. It's going to come out in August, and I'm kind of far behind, but it'll be okay. So it calls for 6 different colors, and there's various amounts of each. The most, I think, is around 400 yards of one color, so that's basically a full skein. And the least amount is like 150 yards. So instead of stash busting...
So is this thing going to be enormous? Like...
I don't know, because everything's held doubled.
Oh,
Let me hold it up.
Okay.
So, like, this is color 1 and 2 held doubled, and then 2 and 3 is this pink, and then 3 and 4. And what I did, because I'm a great stealer of ideas, is my friend Jelby, Carrie, is doing a temperature blanket, and she used her little markers to number her skeins, and so I totally stole that idea, because there's no way I could remember what was what. So these two are actually Plucky Knitter, and they're feet base. This one is Soda Fountain, and then the other one is Tiny Bubbles. And then I'm also using, this darker color down here is Countess Ablaze and Adrenaline Rush. And then this is one of these, not the pink, is from Regions Beyond in Teeny Button Studio. I think it was she does a Haunted Mansion colorway every year. So I think it was that. And then these two are Plucky. And then I'm using Undercover Otter in There Is Only Zool from Ghostbusters, which is the best name ever. And then someone gifted me some sheep graffiti in the Tranquility colorway. So using up stash, it's gonna get, right now it's at like 60 stitches wide, so it's gonna double this in width. And 1 stitch is added every other row, so it's gonna be fairly large. Not super small, but not unwieldy, I don't feel like.
I was just asking because of the yardage. It makes more sense that it's doubled now.
Yeah, so it's doubled. It's around 1,600 yards total.
Okay.
And it's meant for like using up scraps, but there's not a lot of colors too that I have like 300 yards of scraps.
Yeah.
If I did more color work, yes, probably I would have that. But I don't. So using these full skeins, and then I can use the leftovers for heels and toes or mini skeins or whatever.
Snap hats.
Snap hats is correct. Oh, I could do a matching snap hat with these colors.
Snap hat by Tin Can Knits. That's what
Intense. Tiff Nealon also has a leftover hat too that I like, that I've knit a couple of times. So yeah, and it's got a lateral braid. Sometimes it's on the back side. Can you see it where it changes? And then sometimes it's on the front side. I don't like my ones on the front as much. Also, I knit through the back loop wrong. We've had this discussion before.
Just like a couple months ago.
Yes, when I was knitting another Tiff Nealon with a lateral braid, this is the same thing happened, and I had to rip it back out because I had forgotten that I knit through the back loop wrong. Instead of going behind the first stitch and through the back loop, I was going between and through. So like instead of going in from behind like that, I go like that.
But that's completely devoid of a stitch.
No,
you're in between two stitches.
No, I'm through a stitch.
Oh. But that's exactly how you would knit through the back stitch if you were doing the second one.
No,
it's the
because
same direction.
Yeah, but this goes different.
Oh.
See?
Sorry, I'm sure that's not super helpful for y'all.
Maybe one day I'll make a video about how I do things wrong.
I mean, that probably wouldn't be as helpful as you think. Be like, no, it was on that Laura Lynn on the TheKnitGirll's video. Have you been knitting anything else?
Yes, I've been knitting on my sweater. I got it to pass the arm point, so now it can go to SSK.
Because it was, you had just started the first lace chart.
Yeah, I need to wind more yarn for it. But right now, Malabrigo was super kind and donated a bunch of yarn for the tasting room, so I'm winding up little minis for needles right now. Oh, so this is the top. I'm just past the arms, so don't get too excited.
Wow.
But yeah, I like it so far.
The neck is very open. Does it get pulled in somehow?
Yeah, so you were actually supposed to do a provisional cast on, but I'm just going to pick up the stitches because...
And just decrease it slightly?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's got a neckline that's put in.
Okay.
Yep. Because it's also pretty shallow.
It's very nice feeling.
It's 2 yarns, one of which is Neighborhood Fiber Company. They're...
Stacey Abrams?
Stacey Fair Fight colorway, which was based off of Stacey Abrams, on their Studio Sock, which is like an organic merino. And then the other thing is Surrey Alpaca Silk Lace by Stranded in the Blue Rinse colorway. And I'm knitting this on size 8 needles, which is how I knew. I was complaining to Leslie earlier. So one thing we do at SSK is we do a tasting room where people can try all sorts of different needles. We have 78 different sets of needles for people to try all day, and those are all completely different. I actually removed a couple sets that are no longer in production, like the signature non-convertibles, the
you
fixed
can't get
ones,
them anymore, so it's kind of unfair.
You can't get them, yeah. And they replaced them because they were breaking, so I don't want to have those, you know, in the
Plus 70 something is enough.
Yeah.
It's enough.
Yeah, so like there were some that I was like, okay, this isn't being made anymore.
Right.
We don't need this one. But yeah, a lot of them are Knitter's Pride. Knitter's Pride has made a ton of needles.
Yeah.
Like a ton, and then Knit Pro has made different ones, and then
Addie's done like the square rockets.
Addie's, I have my 24 carats to put in that I won.
That's right.
So like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, after the last SSK, I randomly entered an Addie competition in one of their newsletters to win one of their like fancy 24 plated gold needles. So those will be in there, but Addie's added the squared. Those weren't around. The wooden ones, the olive wood ones, had just come out. Bamboo wasn't out yet, and we don't have any of their bamboo. They'll be all right. Apparently, Indian Lake Artisans now have an interchangeable set.
Oh, okay.
We don't have those.
Those are the hexagonal ones, right?
But we do have their fixed, older
Right.
cherry ones. So we try to get a good selection of stuff. I'm excited because there's some new needles coming out at the end of this year that we'll be getting. So I already talked to Jill of Hip Strings about ordering them through her because she's one of their dealers.
Cool.
Chagu.
Yeah, we like to, it's not just needles, it's like wheels and spindles and swifts and ball winders and things like that. Because
fiber equipment.
We like to provide people the opportunity to try out tools that they might not have access to try out, and plus it's a no sales environment. Like we don't sell any of this stuff.
Yeah,
so.
We have gleaners for people to try, the Yarnet. We have that thing that hooks into the drill. I need to pack my drill too.
I know what you're talking about. It's a bobbin thing.
Yeah.
I forget what it's called, but yeah.
Yeah.
Gosh.
So yeah, lots.
It's so long since we've done this now.
I know, it's been 3 years. I knit 10 sweaters in those 3 years.
Yeah, I need to go through and pick because I don't want to bring the same sweaters I've been bringing before.
Yeah.
So I need to go through what I've knit in the past few years. Poet will go because that. The one I knit for with the trip to Scotland.
Oh.
My ice skating party will go.
Yeah.
I got several. So.
Yeah. So I'm packing 11 total sweaters. So that's not bad.
I've probably got more like summer weight tops than I have sweaters, honestly.
Well, you knit a lot of summer weight tops.
Yeah.
Which works out fine.
Let's see, what else? Do you have anything finished for this week?
I don't have anything finished but spinning.
So I've got some finished stuff. It is sewing. So when Sew Liberated put out their Studio Tunic pattern a couple months ago, of course Amy Beth had tested it for them. I say of course, she's done it for several of their patterns, and this was one of them. And she looks amazing in hers.
Because she always does.
She just always exudes this joy, and it's very contagious feeling. And, you know, she's not the only one that tested it, but it's very, like...
Has sewed.
Sewed, sorry. She makes you want to feel like you can, and makes you want to make it as well. And so
she's
Laura's
really good at that, and so is Chicken Boots.
Oh, Sarah Me.
So Live. Yeah.
She has some great sewing stuff. You can support her on Patreon, I think.
You can support Amy Beth on Patreon.
Yeah.
Both of those people, if you are interested in sewing.
But it came out, and Laura was like, yeah, I'll take one of those. And Laura doesn't sew.
I'm putting in my order now. I will trade you handspun.
And we were in a conversation with Jillian at the time, and Jillian's like, yeah, I'll take one of those too. That looks great. So of course
Jillian was joking.
Yeah, I know. I completely understand that. I was like,
I was not.
I should make that. I was like, I can make a couple of tunics by SSK. That's no problem. This was like
a year ago. Yeah.
No, it wasn't. This was a couple months ago. At most a couple months ago.
Maybe January?
No, dude, it was not that long ago. It was like late May. And so anyhow, I decided I was going to make one, sew one for Laura and sew one for Jillian, and I was like, well, I'm going to make one for myself, duh.
Yeah.
And I had shared pictures, and then I thought, well, I'll just make them for SSK for, like, instead of aprons. Historically, I've made aprons for our helpers and ourselves. Instead of that, I'll make the tunic, and that meant I needed to make one for Sarah.
Yeah.
Sarah D., who is an invaluable helper. And then I was like, well, Mama Linneman's definitely going to be helping because she can't not help. Like, it's just not in her to not help. So now we're up to 4.
Gwen.
Plus me is 5. And then a couple days ago, I realized I had left out Gwen, like unintentionally. And I was like, oh crap, I can't not, like, it was
Gwen one.
Right.
And you made Jude a separate apron.
Yeah,
for
Jude,
him.
yeah, I made Jude like a half apron, and unfortunately we won't be seeing Jude, and that's a
but
huge
we're gonna
bummer.
send him stuff.
Yeah, but we've got a big box of love that we're going to send over, so we'll include that. So yeah, 6 tunics. In something like 3 weeks. Because Laura's I finished and gave to her.
Yeah, it looks great.
Let's see. This one is mine. I had this fabric from, I don't know.
Are those sewing, like, shears?
No, it's just bows.
Okay.
It's just little bows.
I thought it was scissors at first,
Yeah.
and I was like, that would be super cute. Ooh, that's nice feeling.
So this one is mine. They're not pressed, so they're very wrinkly. And they had this fabric that was like a upholstery fabric, and they still got like marks from the pins on them that will go away when I iron it. But they had this upholstery fabric that was like, you know, rainbow and love, and I thought, oh, that's cute for like the insert pocket.
Mm-hmm.
So this one is mine. I'm gonna try to get a picture at SSK of everybody in there.
Yes.
So I need to talk about the finishing in a minute, but the next one was Jillian's. So this was the color
That's a
she
great
chose.
purple for Jillian. I love the back detail.
So it's
too,
like a royal purple,
because she's the queen.
and then I did a multicolor thread on this one, so it's like a bunch of different purples. It's probably difficult to see that, but it's got like a little hanging hook as well, and then on the side seams and the bottom you can see it's got like a decorative, I did a decorative stitch.
Look at you.
Yeah, my little strings, I haven't trimmed all of them. So there's that. And then I was working on Sarah's earlier and ran out of thread with only the pockets and the hem left to go, so that's super annoying. But this one is hers.
It's so close to being done.
Yeah.
That's a good Sarah color too. Look good with her hair.
My only complaint about this pattern, well, I've got a complaint and then just like annoyance thing. So you put the pockets on at the end, and I wondered why, because when you cut out this pattern, primarily you've got like the back sections, and then you've got the front 2 sections. You cut it out as 2 separate halves, and then you put it together. And I was like, well, why can't you just put the pockets on the front before you sew it all together? Because if you sew the pockets on after the whole thing is put together, you have to make sure it's difficult to pin it, because you have to pin it only through the front fabric and not the back, because otherwise you'll sew it to the back. Don't ask me how I figured that out.
Yeah.
But it ended up being because the pockets are so wide, they actually go over the seam, the side seam, onto the back. So it's not difficult, it's just kind of fiddly. So that's kind of an annoying thing.
Can you move the pockets over just a smidge?
I mean, you could, but you'll have a different look.
Yeah.
So that part is just like fiddly, which isn't my biggest concern or my biggest like complaint. My biggest complaint is the finishing. So most of the time spent on these is spent on the facings. If you're not a sewer, that means like the structural support for the neck and the arms, right? So you got this extra bit,
over, yeah.
right? So most of the time is spent on the facings, because you have to each like armhole has 2 separate pieces, plus you have to get 2 pieces of interfacing and attach them, and then sew the pieces together, and then ease it in because it's a curve,
Yeah.
right? And then once you've done that, you have to press it open, then press it flat, then press it under. So it's a lot of time, and if you follow their instructions, then you're left with finishing like this. So like this is the raw edge.
Oh.
So you're left with finishing where it's open, like that, which I think yours is. I don't think I did this on...
That's fine.
But by the time I got to mine, so this is the second one, I was like, I don't like that. So I changed, I added an extra step, because I didn't like the way that it looked like that, and I felt like it would fray, you know, because you're not enclosing that raw edge. And it is interfaced, so it probably won't fray too badly, but instead what I did was I took that extra that was left, and then I folded it under and
like
pressed it.
What is that called, a French seam or something?
It depends on how you put it together. So it wouldn't be considered a French seam, but it is like a nice finished seam. So, but I have to do that on the whole neck and each arm,
Oh.
and it takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I spend as much time on the inner facing and facings in general of these than I do the entire rest of the channel.
Yeah.
Because
How long is it taking you to make them now? You're on the
I
fourth.
don't know.
Okay. You should time Gwen's.
Yeah, I should. But because these are curved, you can't iron them on a flat surface. You have to iron them on a curved.
Yeah,
like a ham. Yeah. So I like how they're coming out. I just wish there was a better solution.
I
for
want
how
like
these
4
facings.
more, so I'm glad.
I mean, I'll be excellent at it by the time that these are done, because it'll be a half dozen in, 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
So I've got to get thread for Sarah's. Mama Linneman's is already cut out, and Gwen's fabric is in the dryer right now. So I always pre-wash anything that's going to be a garment. Well, really any fabric you need to pre-wash, because it's going to end up a different size.
Yeah.
Technically, it's sort of the same concept as swatching, but
well, washing your swatches to make sure that like spinning oil and stuff isn't there to affect them, for sure. I have some spinning, but you have spinning too. Do you want me to go first?
Go ahead.
I just brought one thing, so I do have a couple
more
of
spinning
things
than you to talk about today.
I have 4 ounces, so yeah. I did finish like the plying of some other stuff, but it's not washed and finished. These are your 2 minis from before. Do you want them?
Sure.
Okay, they look really good. So this is Hello Yarn in the Midsummer colorway, and it is Cordale, and it's 450 yards of a 2-ply that I spun on the Starling.
It's so pretty.
I know, I like it. It's a nice, like, light fingering weight.
It's almost like strawberry, like very springy,
like strawberry shortcakey. Well, it's called Midsummer after like the movie.
I've never seen it.
I think it's a horror, so all the blood.
Oh, well, I thought it looked springy.
But yeah, so 450 yards. That's gonna be an SSK door prize. So this is the second thing. The other thing that I finished for an SSK door prize was the Into the World Ninja Bear Cordale. Sorry, put that in my... I'm just throwing my door prize stuff in my sweater bag and my gift stuff. Like, I bought Jillian a pair of slippers, and Teresa I spun some stuff for. So I'm gonna end up taking, if everything goes to plan, I should have 4 skeins for the door prize giveaway, and then a bunch of minis, like 5 to 10 minis for the other things. Yeah, the scratch offs. So if everything goes according to plan, we all know that's not gonna happen. But Wednesday, as I'm sitting, I can spin too on Gwen's wheel that I'm going to steal.
Yeah, she's bringing her
Hanson,
which is newer than any of ours.
Yeah, it's the Pro, so it's got a better motor in it.
Less likely to stop on you.
That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
So I'll probably bring my flyer, but
oh, and just fly something on it or something.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got some minis, along with knitting this while I've been heckling Kobe playing the Nintendo game. I took out, so at Maryland Sheep and Wool like 8 or maybe 9 years ago.
It's been a while.
Because it was when I still lived in Jersey. I remember that specifically. Laura would come up from Maryland, and I would go to Maryland because it was only a couple hours drive from me.
Yeah, we meet up.
There was a guy named, his business was the Homestead Hobbyist.
Yes, I love his stuff.
I mentioned it to Jessie, and she was like, yeah, I used to work with him at the yarn shop. And I'm like, of course you did.
Yeah, he moved to Portland, and then something happened, and he moved again, and he's kind of disappeared from the dyeing.
So he did a 7 Deadly Sins off the Christian
greed,
religion.
sloth,
lust, pride, envy. I don't remember them all.
I'm trying to remember from the movie 7.
I don't So there were 7 different little 1 ounce bits of comb top. And they were very different. Some of them were long wools that had little like sparkly bits in them that were almost like sharp filling. And some of them just had like not the down wool, but like the guard hairs in the wool.
Yeah, I see that guard hair.
So
you're gonna have to label what all of them
yeah, I
are.
will. They're not totally 100% dry, but I wanted to show them anyway.
Yeah.
So I'll lay them back out to dry. And
Super humid here.
Yeah.
Shocker, Mississippi, summertime.
One had like a really nice rustic feel to it. This one was really pretty. The Envy.
They're all really pretty. Yeah, that Envy is gorgeous.
Pride had all the colors in it, which have sort of been muted a little bit.
Yeah.
But
because when you plied.
Yeah, the colors sort of mute against each other. And then I don't remember what this one was.
Greed?
But I liked, maybe. Yeah, probably. It's got a
Reminds
little
me
bit
of
of
money,
sparkle.
yeah.
Gold coins.
Yep.
So, yeah, these will all be scratch-off prizes for SSK as well. But I picked primarily, I picked this specific like kit to spin because it was in a box instead of a bag, and it can't be smushed. And I was like, this is taking up too much space. I need to spin it.
I understand. I have a Hip Strings Pittsburgh box that Mom got me for Christmas one year that I need to spin.
It's that clear one, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I might do that the next couple days.
One of the things that I'm excited about at SSK is we're doing this fiber mini thing. So
I'm so excited.
Jillian sort of, I guess she's done it before.
No, she's adding a class. She's creating a class that is around it, kind of, sort of.
That's cool. Maybe she can get some pictures to use in her blurb or whatever.
Yeah, that'd be smart.
But
I like your nail polish too.
Thank you. It's called Sweater Weather.
Oh, nice. My nails look awful right now.
I think this one has torn down at the quick, so that's not great. But so the idea with this fiber mini swap. And maybe you can, if you're not coming to SSK, maybe it's something you can do with your
guilds
or guild.
Yeah.
That'd be a fun guild activity.
Oh, absolutely.
Is to take a couple of braids of combed top that maybe you don't love.
Yeah, that's hand dyed.
Presuming it's in good condition, and then strip it down into like smaller little bits
and bobs.
And then the idea is that however many ounces you bring, so if you bring 3
they get
ounces,
all thrown into a giant mini.
Say you get three braids, right? And they're each 4 ounces, so that's 12 ounces that you've brought. And then, we'll have a little demo as far as, how to strip them and that sort of thing. And then you put them all into like we're doing like a baby pool. And, they get all mixed up. And then
Jillian's got a scoop.
Yeah, we'll do like a patchwork kit sort of.
Yeah.
Where you get a bunch of them. You might get one out of your, bits back, but it'll be combined with somebody else's bits.
And it's great to like do marled spinning or just plying.
It's just fun. Yeah, fun.
It's like making minis and swapping mini skeins.
So I am gonna go through my fiber stash and pick out at least 2 things, but probably more than 2 things.
I'm doing 2.
It depends. I've got some braids where I really loved the fiber content, but didn't really think about the color and how that was going to interact. So
yeah, it happens.
So yeah, I'm excited to bring those and see what I get back.
You might want to strip yours up ahead of time.
I probably will.
Just so it's.
I've got several things because Sarah is coming into town on Monday.
Sunday.
Oh, Sunday. Okay. So her first full day here will be Monday, and we'll have a bunch of like little last minute things to do. So we'll all hang out at Laura's and get the stuff done.
You're assuming there's room to hang out at Laura's right now. It is like SSK Central. Like 95% of the SSK stuff's at my house.
Yes, it is.
I'm thinking about getting a shed built and saying the Knit Girls needs to pay me rent.
I know. You would be surprised how much goes into, like, there's the grid wall that has to get stored. There's the hangers that are for, like, the hanging up everything in the try-it-on room.
The stands, the mirrors.
Yeah, the mirrors for that sort of thing.
Do you have the mirrors or do I?
I do have the mirrors.
We have a giant The Rock cardboard cutout that's at my house.
Which doesn't take up that much space, but
No.
we've also got a bunch of stuff that goes under the desk that's
Yeah.
like
And
tickets
extras, yeah.
and like just support things.
First aid kits.
Yes. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, and luckily it gets to live at Laura's house. So,
until 3 days from now, at least.
for a week,
Yeah.
it won't live there. And then hopefully we come back with less than we left with, because like all the SSK goodie bag yarn and fiber
Yeah,
is at
that'll be
Laura's
good.
house. And
All the door prizes are at my house.
so we'll come back with less than we leave with, ideally.
I mean, that's the intent, but after market, you never know.
This is true.
Leslie's coming back with a wheel already, and I'm coming back with a wheel, but you're taking a wheel.
Yeah, I'm trading a wheel. I'm not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trading a wheel with someone. So, and I've, a couple people have reached out to me about stuff they're putting on the free to a good home table. So there's gonna be some really good
Oh yeah,
stuff.
you have a big bag of stuff in my house that's going to a free to a good home.
Because I took it over like a month and a half ago.
When I wasn't paying attention.
Under the auspice of like letting the knitting ladies that come to our knit group look through it and take anything that they wanted. And then I was like,
magically it
it's
stayed.
already here. We should just leave it here. So, yeah. So what about reading? What have you been reading?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Nope.
Can't concentrate on
Nope. Stardew Valley is all I got.
What about listening? Have you listened to anything?
I mean, I listened to like another hour of the Alpha
Oh.
Omega. I've been watching Tour de France. There was a protest. There was a dog.
I heard about the dogs.
It's been very exciting.
Well, I re-listened to the entire Innkeeper Chronicles series, all 4 books and the
Nice.
novella, and tried to start the new Michael Sullivan book, which is like sort of an epic fantasy, and there's a lot of politics and fighting and elf clans and that sort of thing. There's no romance. It's fantasy.
Yeah, it's high fantasy.
And I just couldn't like focus on it because I've been listening while I'm sewing stuff, and I have to sort of pay attention to what's going on with the sewing. So I switched to The Broken Room, which is a sci-fi by Peter Clines,
Oh,
the
you
same
like
guy
Peter Clines?
who wrote the whole 14, The Fold, Omnibus, and Dead Moon, that whole series. I forget what it's called. So I've already read the book, The Broken Room, but I hadn't listened to the audiobook, so I started listening to it because it's one that's interesting, but I know what happened, so I don't have to pay 100% of attention. And then I just finished last night the new T. Kingfisher book. I really love T. Kingfisher. And this is called What Moves the Dead, and apparently it's like a retelling of the Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh, by Poe.
I've never read the Fall of the House of Usher.
Oh, it's good.
So I didn't really have any
You
idea what I was getting
should.
into. But this one integrates
Yeah.
like a trans character and
Oh, cool.
different pronouns in an interesting way. And it uses pronouns that I haven't, they're endemic to that world, right? They're not like she, her, hers, right? It's different. It's like va, van, something else. But it's very seamless in the story once you understand what you're looking at. So
I love the Fall of the House of Usher.
I've never heard of it, right? So, but I mean, I've heard of it. I've never read it.
You saw my eyes
Yeah, I
when you
did.
said it. You never heard of it.
Um,
I'm such a Poe snob.
it's a little bit horrifying, like the way that it's told, but it's that T. Kingfisher does that really well.
Meant to be horrifying.
So that's what I can't remember if I started a new book. If I did, it was super late, and I've already forgotten what it was. So probably I didn't. 'Cause
Oh, I
was
did
too
read the
talking
new
about
Devon
it.
Monk. There's a new Devon Monk
Okay.
Ordinary Magic book.
Okay, yeah.
So I read that. It was good. It's just a continuation of the worlds. There's a wedding. That's all I got.
Oh,
You okay?
yeah. Sorry, I took like a 35-minute nap before Laura came over. It was going to be longer, but my neighbor, whose driveway is about 12 feet from my window, decided she was going to do power washing, which, totally
She's
her
power
prerogative.
washing when I came
It's
up.
daylight, so I'm not like complaining, but it definitely did prohibit my ability to sleep. So, and then tonight we're going to order some food maybe and watch some Drag Race because we're 2 episodes behind.
Yeah, and Canada Drag Race started.
Yeah. So some of it we'll probably watch at Laura's this weekend, but we will not be recording next week because we will be hosting a knitting retreat.
We will. But we'll be back the following week, and we'll also do Patreon events that week as well.
Yeah.
Because that's the last week of the month.
Yeah, so the Patreon stuff's going to be crammed in the last week of
we actually
July.
have 2 fail-alongs to do.
I know.
We're going to... Thank you, Patreons, for being patient with us.
Our Patreon folks are lovely.
We were planning on doing one early this month, and then I got COVID,
Our
so
fault.
it is my fault.
But, you know, our folks are lovely, and they know that life happens, and there's
Yeah.
just things you can't plan around, so...
Unfortunately. I wish my bosses were as lovely as our Patreon people.
Yeah. I
Always.
can't complain. I love my bosses, so... anyway.
I have high hopes for this year.
It'll
So,
be interesting.
It'll be so much better. It'll be better. Alrighty.
Do you have anything else?
No, I don't think so. There's lots of Stash Dash discussion going on Discord, and also SSK discussion on Discord. And Discord's just a fun place to hang out. It's where we hang out. So, if you're looking for us, that's usually a good place to find us. And there's a link in the show notes for our Discord as well. I think that's about it. I'm excited to see all the SSK people.
Yeah, we're excited. We've got a lot of folks that we haven't met before that are coming this year, which is great.
Or people that I've met at other events,
Mhm.
and this is their first SSK.
And we've got
so
a lot of
that's
returning
exciting.
folks as well. So it's going to be a good time. If you're in the Nashville area, next Saturday the 23rd, we'll have a market that's open to the public in the afternoon.
You have to have proof of vaccination and a mask, but if you forget your mask, we have some.
Yep. We're excited. It's going to be a good time.
It always is, and it's nice to see people like Teresa and Punky. I can't wait to see
Shannon's
Punky.
coming. I haven't seen Shannon in friggin' years.
It's going to be really, really good to see Lori from Florida.
There's so many people where
There's
people
so
are going to be
many
upset that we don't mention them
Yeah.
because there are so many great people that have come year after year after year after year.
yeah.
There's
A.E. Hall.
Okay,
yeah.
stop.
Godzilla.
I
There's so
know.
many good people. And there'll be new people too, which is always fun.
Yeah.
So,
all right, we hope that we'll see you next week. If
Yep.
we don't, then you'll see us the week after.
yep.
We appreciate you sticking with us, and hope you have a great couple
Thank you for
weeks.
all the well wishes too, y'all. With me being sick. I know.
I'm glad you're feeling better.
Thank you.
All right.
75%. Woohoo!
We will we'll talk to you guys in a couple weeks. Until then, have a good one.
Bye, y'all.